Kill Chicago have a careful knack for weaving heartfelt messages throughout boisterous rock and roll. Natural storytellers with a political core, this New Brunswick-based quartet has made a name for itself through electrifying live shows and an honesty that reflects their blue-collar history. Combining the vibe of a blues record played at the wrong speed, they take traditional instrumentation, wrap it around a folk skeleton, and make it dance with 70s Brit-punk energy. Because the blues are about hard times, punk is about standing your ground, Kill Chicago is about having a hard time standing your ground. Follow us inside and see how this fan favorite act lays it down. Into the studio.
Hey, I'm Greg. I'm from Kill Chicago, and I write the songs, and I sing the things, and I play the guitar. I've been playing music for like, mental math, 26 years. And the first thing I did was I played trombone in the school band. I wanted to play the trumpet, but my last name was at the end of the alphabet. So the 3 trumpets that my school had were chosen already. Started playing guitar in grade 9. And when it came time to go to university, I was like, well, if I'm gonna go to school, it should probably be for music. I just didn't want music to be the thing I do on the weekends. I wanted it to be what I do Monday morning at 8 o'clock. So that's what I did. Beams from the flag that you fold. A recording studio is a perfect marriage of, there's a technical side to things and you're marrying it with art. We have this like image of art being just this like thing that you're just sitting in a field and all of a sudden you're blasted with this, you know, divine intervention and I'm going to create the thing. And then it's like, it's actually like hours and hours of painstaking labor of nuts and bolts and things.
Going into the studio has always been kind of this love-hate relationship. You are kind of under a microscope, so everything that you do, you're always overthinking. But at the end of it, there's no better feeling than having something tangible you can kind of take home and process over and over again. It's like the only version of music that's like a painting you can take home and appreciate later. I love the challenge of blending art and science and meeting somewhere in the middle and creating something beautiful.
Now that felt like
Yeah.
killer.
Yeah, I would say all the things that we just did there were right. Enough.
Do you want to have a listen?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm not making you. I'm not forcing you. You don't have to.
It's probably a good idea.
Just for tone and everything too.
Does it work, Greg?
You got the shaky leg?
Woo!
I'm very nervous in the studio. It takes me a long time to get comfortable. Any experience I've had in a studio is generally pretty rushed because it all comes down to like a small budget and a limited amount of time and a lot of work to be done. It's always been kind of like my nemesis, I guess, is like coming into the studio because that's where, you know, all the mistakes are heard. I'm used to playing in like small clubs, like all ages shows, but for the most part, it's like less about getting it all right and more about having a great time and being able to put on a fun show. So the studio, yeah, totally my nemesis.
Since I like the studio so much, I try my best not to have a checklist of, okay, and then we did this, oh, and then we did this, and then we did that. And I know it costs more money to do it this way, but I'm just trying to get as much time in the studio as possible. And I like coming up with ideas in the studio and trying things. We really work to have our stuff mostly figured out, but I love just listening to something when I'm not playing and just stepping back from it and going, I wonder what would happen if we tried this, and not just feel like time is money and let's get it all done. It's like, that's not really fun, that's stressful. I like it, this is a playground.
My favorite part of recording is when the song really starts to take shape and the people that you're working with start to actually see your vision, get on board, and then they're like, oh, okay, I got you now. And then they kind of become part of that process, and then all of a sudden you're building something with someone instead of showing something to someone. It's a really neat kind of aha moment.
There she is. There she is. Let's take care of her.
I thought you were switching tones for the ending anyway.
That's a different tone. Well,
Oh.
that's just an extra pedal.
So we're not even going to use this part, is what you're saying?
That tone, in theory, is the one that I
Okay.
normally would use live. It's just with the soul food on. It's still a little, needs some space added to it. I tracked with less reverb than normally because my issue is I always track stuff with too much reverb and then it sounds too far away to bring,
Once you.
to modernize it.
Yep.
Sounds,
That's a
Sounds-
take. Nicely done, gents.
just a couple of doodads and we're all good.
Yeah.
That's it.
And a couple of dads
You know, I'm
do.
a music promoter, so if I'm not playing it, I'm promoting it. I'm trying to help touring bands get across Canada. There's a lot of artists that live off of putting singles out. I guess it's just about how it's getting to people. Now it's mostly streaming, so you see a lot of artists that are just focusing on singles. For us, the album is important. It's more for us than it is for to be used as a product. Like, this is how we would like to remember ourselves. This is how we would like to listen to our records, and this is how we would like other people to listen to it. You can be anything and do it any way you want. Maybe your career has mostly been singles, and then all of a sudden you put out an album and press it, and it's a smash, Even though there's a formula, the idea of a formula for everything, I still think it's the Wild West a lot of the times.
Can you hear me there all right, Dylan?
Yep.
Okay. Were you hearing some of your steel there?
Yep.
So where are you in this?
Off the top through the verses, and once it hits the last chorus, the steel's done.
Sounds good. Here it comes.
I don't do that
Okay.
at the end, but everything up until then, golden, done.
Is that the only other part then?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, that was not bad at all.
I wasn't lying.
All right.
Let's make a hit.
Done. Just gotta repatch this guy. Yep.
Vocales?
So I'll start it and just shout at me if you need different stuff.
Stand. Yeah.
Because mix will
Stand.
be different, I'm sure.
On God for thee. Oh. Louder. Oh, hold on. We'll try it. Yeah, recording matters. It's just, I think the difference is that audiences' ears are so big now that they will accept a huge swath of recording styles. Yes, live is where you make your money, but it's like, if I can't search you in this second and hear something, and you're not releasing something every 6 months, it's like you don't exist, you're buried.
As someone who builds music as part of my mental health, when the pandemic hit, in order to get through it, because I'm a very social person, I decided that I was going to learn how to record to try to get a lot of that out. We're never going to have a shortage of music in our lives. It might take different shapes. The monetization of it will always change in terms of the mechanisms, but music's not going anywhere.
When we're talking about independent bands, like a lot of really cool music, not necessarily the best recorded, but those still are some of my favorite albums. So when we're talking about sound quality, it might take a dip, but the important part was the music that was being put on those albums. The perfect recorded album wasn't as important. It was about the music and not so much about the production. Because I'm not really a production guy. It's not a make or break for me. It's about the feel, it's about the music, it's about the creative side, and not necessarily always about the production.
Proper studios, there is a difference when if you put on a suit and go to work, then you're gonna behave a certain way. And if you go into a real studio, you're gonna take it a little bit more serious. And I think if nothing else, this is like the place where you go to do your best work. And I think that it'll last, like studios make things last longer, and recording always matters. I like the studio as an instrument. Like, it's cool when people can go in and do things live off the floor, and it's great because that's so rarely done now. But don't forget that for the longest time, the studio offered people an entirely new way of creating things that I don't think is dead. And I think there's just like, I love that other dimension of the studio being something different than what the band sounds like live.